Hi guys, it's me, Melissa Saliva with Beacon Valley Literacy, and I'm here tonight with Kim again for Topic Tuesday, a meeting of the minds. And tonight we're going to discuss accommodations. Kim and I were talking about this for a little while, and accommodations is that last page, that page 8 at the meeting, and perhaps the most overlooked part of a PPT. Right, Kim?
Yes. Often when we get to that last page, the meeting's gone on for a while. And then all of a sudden you get to this page 8 and parents look around and they're like, what are we talking about? And really, this is a really important page because it's all the strategies and tools and things that your child needs. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, so basically, if I can get this straight, accommodations are what allows our children to access the curriculum. It allows them to be able to do well in classes. So for me, as a reading consultant, when I provide accommodations for that page 8, usually it's access to audiobooks. Usually it's leveled reading material and things like that. But there's a difference between modifications.
Correct. Modification means that you are actually changing the curriculum that your child is being exposed to. So if your child needs a different reading program than the rest of the students in the class, or a different math program, or if they need the actual content that's being taught to change, that's a modification. When your child is able to access everything that their peers access throughout the day, but with it being presented maybe a little bit differently, or their answers being given in a different manner than the rest of their peers, that's an accommodation.
I just want to make sure that parents remember, the accommodations, the accommodations are the most important part, and they're supposed to be personalized. But both of us know as professionals, these accommodations come from a drop-down menu. And oftentimes they look the same for each student. And I just don't know if we're really ensuring that our accommodations are specific for each student and really help. So how does the parent make sure that these accommodations are appropriate for their child?
So the first thing you have to do is you have to understand what those accommodations are. And the question that you need to ask, which we've talked about a lot, is what does that look like? What does that look like in that classroom? Because I can say your child needs X, Y, and Z every day in order to learn their reading or their math, right? Or to learn how to write their letters in my case.
Right.
But if they're never utilizing the tool that I am saying they need, then how do we show progress? So you kind of have to twofold things, and you have to know what this page says, and you have to say, what does progress look like? So if the child isn't making progress, the first question is, in my mind, what accommodations are we using? Are we using them? Is the child using them? Because sometimes we offer accommodations that a child will not use, refuses, doesn't like, especially as they get older.
Oh, yes.
Free will. So there's a lot of times I'll say, okay, we're going to use a slant board, or we're going to use a pencil grip, or we have to use this computer application. And the kid's like, no, I don't want to look different than anybody else. Right. And then it's our job to think a little different, try to figure out another way.
And I feel like we kind of touched on this before. Accommodations have to be, specific for each child, but they also change. One of the things we talked about, what do we want parents to remember? The accommodation page is the most important part. What does it look like in the classroom? And these accommodations, they should change with your child, right?
As your child makes progress, absolutely.
Or if they don't make progress too. Right. So either way, right?
Correct. And so for example, if a child fails a math test, here's the question. How was that math test presented? Did we utilize an alternative setting if that's on their plan? Did we enlarge the worksheet if that was on their plan? Did we limit the number of problems given at a certain time? Right. If that's on their plan. If those things were done and the child still isn't successful, okay, well, are those things not working? Where was the breakdown? And that's the conversation.
And I think revisiting the accommodations is most important, and making sure that everybody, like, because I teach in a setting where there's a lot of teachers. There's teachers that teach, chemistry. There's teachers that teach biology. There's teachers that teach. Those accommodations, you made a good point, have to change per subject too. We were
Correct.
talking about that. Like, if you're in algebra,
Right.
then the accommodations might look different.
Yep.
But you're taking this IEP document, you're making these generic suggestions for accommodations, but you have to ensure that they look different if you have different classes or different courses, or it's complicated.
It is extremely complicated, especially like you said, as the kids get older and there's more teachers. So, but we have to remember that a lot of kids, 4th and 5th grade, are changing and have multiple teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Just because a student needs extended time in one class to take tests doesn't mean they need extended time on all tests.
Right.
So, like for instance, my son is amazing with history. Like that's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he could take a history test in half the time that he would take a reading comp.
And we know, because interest plays such a big part into.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So I would never enforce or ask the history teacher to utilize extended time in that world, in that class for him. But I would absolutely look for it in his reading class.
Right. And I feel like the thing that I run into with accommodations and professionally is that students with dyslexia can use accommodations to access grade level text all the time. I mean, they could be reading above grade level. They could be talented and gifted and have dyslexia. And if we fine tune their accommodations, they could access anything.
Right.
So, I mean, accommodations in general are giving your child access to grade level, above grade level, or any kind of learning.
Correct. And I think that the biggest piece is to get the buy-in. And the earlier we do get the buy-in for those accommodations and have kids utilizing many different strategies and tools, we'll have better acceptance, which will only increase a child's access. Because you could say to a kid, you're going to get audiobooks and these are going to help you.
Right.
But if they don't see the benefit, or if they're self-conscious about it, it's not going to work.
And like with Justin and our other students that are older in general, like this whole accommodation thing, it's really like transferred to like personal habits. Like, okay, so I'm in college now and I don't have my mom to navigate my IEP. I don't have my teachers to navigate my IEP. I might not even have an IEP.
Right.
But what do I need now? Well, I know that I need more time to do my work. I know that I need audiobooks. I know that I need to check my work in progress or break things up. Like, I mean, the accommodation page is probably the most important because we're setting ourselves up for success.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So if parents have more questions about accommodations and about any other reading topics or anything we talked about tonight, they can contact you.
Absolutely.
My best friend, OT advocate extraordinaire, or contact me, reading consultant, and I'll just ask Kim what she thinks and then pretend like it's my advice.
Well, I think that we could also let parents know that we're open to doing these talks about just about any topic. So if they happen to watch and they have an idea of something that they want a little more information on, send us an email and then we'll figure it out for you.
That's it. All right. And topic Tuesday, we should call it coffee talk, like the old Saturday Night Live, because we always have coffee. Well, all right. It's, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate it. All right. So and just recap the things that parents, 3 things, accommodations change with your child. It's the most important part of the IEP, and make sure everybody's following them, right?
Yep.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.